Okay, so I made a change based on a discussion on the forum to the deck. One I'm not 100% sold on, but which I think is probably, okay for now at least. I took Mana Leak out and I put in Supreme Verdict. I put in Supreme Verdict. I chose Mana Leak as the card that I would take out because many of these cards are locked in solid and unchangeable. You don't want to pull a mana source, you don't want to pull an engine, and you don't want to pull search. So it didn't leave many options. And Mana Leak is a card that can be a lot weaker in the late game. Uh, you, you tend to want to use it early to counter creatures anyway. So I figured, although it's I definitely want to play as many counter spells as possible. It's the one that seems safest to pull for Verdict. We'll see if I regret it later, but I went ahead and tested about 10 games or more with this. Starting with this 2406 is the first game that I've got in my recording, and we'll see if they actually play out, so you can see them and get an idea of whether or not this was a good decision to make that change or not, or maybe I don't have enough games to figure it out yet. So first game is a part of a match against Carador. I don't know if both games for the match will be recorded or not. This is obviously an amazing hand, so I totally keep that. Especially against somebody who has turn 2 nothing. So he goes for Sylvan Caryatid. I drain it just because I want the mana, and might as well deny him some as well. Ramp into Tutor, Soul Ring, Orb. Now I've got Lotus, Soul Ring, Orb, and it's turn 4, and just for that my opponent gives up there. So let's try 40-62. So here was another game against Rexiel the Risen Deep. Unfortunately, in that game we didn't learn anything. Maybe some of these others will have information for us about Supreme Verdict. So turn 1 Bolt. My opponent Spreading seizes my island. It's now an island. Of course, can't Demonic Tutor right now, but whatever. So go ahead and just Fabricate for a Soul Ring. Play that, Winter Orb, and a Strip Mine, and say go. As soon as my opponent untaps a land, that land dies. Draw a Reflecting Pool, and go ahead and counter his Arena. And then Glacial Fortress comes down, so now I can produce white. I'm going to go ahead and Enlighten Tutor there. And, I was probably just going to go ahead and get a Mox Opal. Untap, play Mox Opal. Tap for 2, plus the Opal's 3, 4, 5. Cast Demonic Tutor, Crucible Worlds, and just sort of strip recursion. But I might have gone directly for the Crucible. Not sure what I was thinking there, and my opponent didn't give me a chance to figure it out, so that's fine. So game 3 here, 5012. I don't know if this was the same guy as part of the match or what the story was. Yep, this was part of that match. So here's another weird that the recording should have a game in the middle of it. Another excellent hand. And my opponent gave up very easily the first time. Face of Winter Orb, so we'll see what happens now. He gets a Duress, and I think he takes the Abyss, I want to say. Yep, he takes the Abyss. So I got my Crypt, play Kalni Gem. He's developing a bit over there, no problems. I Vampiric into turn, and on my turn, I twist him. Splat. So we get Thragtusk, Putrefy, Cultivate, Garrick. Definitely good things to destroy. And then he draws it for the turn and plays Carador. So not too much he can recur that I'm actually afraid of. I'm planning to clear everything out in a moment anyway. So I go ahead and just muddle for Merchant Scroll, and then Merchant Scroll for Mystical Teachings. That way I basically got 2 cards for 1. And he plays his Thragtusk and hits me, Thragtusk from the graveyard, but that's fine. During upkeep, I Mystical Tutor for Terminus. Go ahead and Terminus him. Now I've got that Teachings chilling in the graveyard. He gets a 3/3, but I don't care about a 3/3 in this deck. Not unless I get a Planeswalker out, and then all my Planeswalkers can protect themselves anyway. So, plus, I've got Oloro. So he's got no cards in hand, and I go ahead and just play Oloro against an empty hand, figuring it's probably a winner. bugging out here? I don't I don't know why he attacks me there. Oh my god. If they would do nothing but fix this stupid recording, I swear that would be infinitely better than them wasting their time on the beta. Anyway, I win that game. Hard to lose when you mind twist your opponent and put a book out. So, anyway, this guy's playing Numot the Devastator. And here's a game where I've drawn Supreme Verdict, and this is actually not a keepable hand. Not really. It certainly would be stronger if this were a leak instead of a verdict. But I decided to keep it just to see what happens. Just because I wanted to test Verdict. And what happens is I don't draw a land to go with my Trinket Mage. But I'm able to force the will with the Verdict, so it's good in that sense. I do like the fact that I didn't actually go down a blue card. So here I play Seal of Cleansing. And then my opponent plays Rouse a Wreck. And I've got some real problems. That doesn't turn off a Winter Orb, but he can use Rowl to keep tapping the land that I untap, and I'm in trouble. And he can work around Winter Orb, and for those reasons I actually end up killing my own Winter Orb. So I can play Trinket Mage. He's got a counterspell for it. And then he has Glen Elendra. So I think probably this game is over. I've lost, but you know, you might be wrong. Let's see. So he taps mana and makes a mistake of not declaring his attack step first. I think he has like a haste guy here. Oh no, Time Warp. So I go ahead and just counter the warp, and he can't counter back because he doesn't have enough blue. So he uses the 3 remaining mana, the red-white mana, to fetch up another island to make his Glen Elendra better. But he's tapped down, and I have an opening. So bam, down comes Humility. He plays Rouser X Ultimate and takes 2 extra turns after this one, and plays an Avacyn Angel of Hope. Now the interesting thing here is I can actually copy the Angel at some point, or even shackles it, and then Humility suddenly becomes like, it's like this terrible thing where if he kills it, he's in a lot of trouble. So he keeps playing creatures that don't do anything, and fetching land and attacking, none of which bothers me. With Ral, he's able to double pump his land searching. No big deal there. This is his second turn, and then his third turn. So he's taken 3 turns in a row, and that was the best he could do with it. I, on the other hand, don't have much going over here either. So he fetches and goes for that. I respond with Factor Fiction. And this here it's really interesting because I responded with Factor Fiction and tap my land. I take this pile. He misclicks and ends up untapping my land for me and tapping his artifact that was already tapped. So what happens is I get free mana to Vampiric Tutor here, so I do. And just fetch myself a Mana Crypt. Not that it really made a tremendous amount of difference, but I would have had 1 more land tapped here. So he taps for a bunch, tries to cast. I don't remember, but I Cryptic Command it, whatever it was. Wow, and we're going to bug out again. Man, this recorder is absolutely pathetic. It is pathetic. It cannot handle the job it's supposed to do. It's really sad. Anyway, I go ahead and Cryptic Command whatever his play was and draw a card, charge my Relic. I get Future Sight down. He ends up ticking Ral up to 7, but before he can ultimate, I eventually play Karn and kill it. Future Sight finds me like tons of mana, and it finds me counter spells, and it does what it does, and I win the game, which was totally awesome. Because if you looked at that game, at some point you would not have thought that I was going to win that game, but I wish I could demonstrate it to you, but you'll just have to take my word for it. So here I'm playing against Burrell of the I'm Not Edric Clade. So I play first turn Soul Ring. Luckily he has no removal for it, and we're in like Flynn. There's that Kalni gem showing up again, so I decided to just hold off before instead of cloning the Soul Ring, which I was planning, I'll clone the Kalni. So I go ahead and just redraw my Lapse, play a land, clone Kalni, say go, Lapse mana ready up, Ready up. He goes for Nimbus Swimmer. Complete trash, not even going to lapse that. So I go ahead and copy Kalni yet again, and then seal away his Chromatic Lantern to make things a little bit tougher for him. And he tries to play Ordeal of Thassa. So whenever this creature, when he attacks, he would add a counter to his guy. And then Ordeal would see that it has 3 or more counters on it, and he would get to draw 2 cards. So I lapse it so that he can draw 2 cards later, not right now. So he pumps his guys and plays Vorel, and that's what I was waiting for. So during upkeep, I Mystical 4, Terminus as usual. Sweep away both of his guys. Now his top card is a creature enchantment, lousy creature enchantment that he can't use. And the last card in his hand, I guess, Core Prowler. So because he gets that down, he goes ahead and puts the Ordeal, but I've got Enlightened Tutor. I go fetch Dark Tutelage, play Tezzeret, flashback Mystical Teachings, and Swords to Plowshares his guy. Actually, I was thinking I had 1 more mana that turn. I wouldn't have fetched Dark Tutelage. I would have gone for Well or Staff. Probably Staff. That way I could use this for 3 and get Well later, or use it for 4, depending on, I can't remember which 2 clones I burned. Metamorph and Sculpting Steel. So yeah, I actually wouldn't be able to do that. I would actually have to get Copy Artifact. That's the only way I can clone any further. But even so, I would have gone for Staff or Well had I mathed it out right. I thought I was going to get that down last turn. So so he plays this thing that gives 10 life, and so I go ahead and play Dark Tutelage, and I fetch up Well of Lost Dreams, and I'm eyeballing that thing that gives him 10 life, thinking about how much I would like to have one of those in play, and I draw this. How sweet that is. So down comes Shop. I DT for Copy. Copy his thing that gives 10 life, and then blow it up, because I want to kill him with Tezzeret, and it'll just take a long time if I don't. And then somehow manage to not activate Tezzeret and untap 2 of my cards. Oops. His turn he goes for a creature, to which I say no. And then on my turn, I get to draw. I find myself a Staff. So go ahead and fab for Gilded Lotus, pump, and then activate this thing. And I can pay 1 mana per life I just gained. So I gained 10 life, so I go ahead and just draw 6. I think it was, yep. That's all the mana I've got. Throw away a card and say go. I know he plays a worthless card, Contagion Engine. And that allows me to tap for tons of mana. Oh, don't bug out on me. So I tap for tons of mana here. Go get the Tundra. That's what I would have got. I don't know what's going on with this now. It's gonna bug out again. This is insane. What a piece of crap. Anyway, I tap for a just metric ton of mana and cast a gigantic ever-flowing chalice of like 7 or 8. So that way I can just tap the chalice. I think it was 7. Then I can just tap the chalice and like a Soul Ring and activate this thing. So what I do is after that I'm tapping the chalice and the Soul Ring chalice and the Lotus for 10 total mana. Then I untap both and I tap for 7 more, so that's 17 mana. Activate this thing to gain 10 life and burn off, tap a Plains and burn off, or a Soul Ring, I forget. Burn off all, I spend 18 mana and basically draw 10 cards. So I'm drawing 10 cards per turn, plus 1 for Dark Tutelage, plus 1 for my draw step. So 12 cards per turn. Yeah, I managed to pull it out. It's another one of those real big struggles, drawing 12 cards per turn there. So I think that was Glow Sticks, and we're on M-Lands 3, as I recall. So here's this person playing Galisa. So we really haven't seen too much use for Supreme Verdict at all. Situations where I haven't really come across any situations where it would be particularly useful. Get the Force with it, but you can do that with Mana Leak as well. So we've got another great draw, so I just ramp out the gates and go ahead and just get down Mox Opal. That way I have swords up, and it fixes my white mana problem. He does nothing, so I go ahead and just strip one of his lands, attack, and play Jace. And awesome, Mox Opal is able to cast land tax for me. He plays his third land, so I get to tax up, plus draw, plus Jace, and just chilling now. If I need to, I'll swords. So he sets me up and then decides to attack me and not Jace, so I don't even bother to plow that thing. Who cares? I'll just take it in a second with Vedalken Shackles maybe. We'll see. So yeah, down comes Future Sight. Now we got Future Sight Jace. Unbelievable amounts of mana. Oh, and I just went ahead and Jaced it back to his hand actually, just to slow him down. Because now if he plays it, I can just Shackles it in response to Skull Clamp. So he reveals Cryptic. I don't bother taxing because I want the Tezzeret. Get myself a little Time Walk on the top of my deck. Down comes Tez. And this guy, yeah, he scoops it in. He packs it in. So now I'm playing Du jour? I don't know. And he's playing Send Triplets, so it's matched colors, and his commander in some ways are very threatening, considering that it's like a Mindslaver for me if he gets it down. But the funny thing is I have a lot of copy effects, so it's quite possible I could actually, if he were to play it, I could copy it and then use it against him. Copy it, then kill it. So anyway, we both had some pretty fast starts, and he gets Oblivion Ring, decides he's going to try to color screw me instead of quantity. Go for color hosing instead of quantity. That doesn't work out for him, so I go ahead and kill his Soul Ring. I'll kill quantity. And end of turn, I go fetch Mind Twist. And in the face of Mind Twist, he gives up. Of course, I've got my Jam Day Tome chilling out in my command zone there, so I was about to start drawing some cards after that twist. And that's the thing I love about Oloro. I love the life, but I love the fact that like when you get flooded and you can just focus on crushing somebody, and then you can use Oloro himself to recover. So this guy's got some weird, it's like a way to flash creatures out and put them back in. So I figure he's going to have a lot of enter the battlefield effects. There's tax for one, play a pool, reflecting poo. It's like when your dog eats a lot of glitter. I don't know. Anyway, and I don't even bother taxing anymore. I'm not going to tax unless I actually intend to cast a spell, and I'm not going to Swords to Plowshares, that little piece of crap. Unless I have a good reason to. So this Conjurer's Closet, which lets him flicker creatures as well. Another way to do that. Still have yet to see a creature with any kind of usefulness over there. So go ahead and draw and play my Lotus. Taxing 1 for 1 that turn. And then he plays Caged Sun. I'm taking 2 points of damage, but I get to tax again, so I do. And then down comes Karn Liberated. Karn the Flasher. So you can just imagine he's like, hello ladies, and then he's pulling open his trench coat there. Anyhow. So I figured he'd, just equip Nim Death Mineral and attack Karn. He's got something better, Volition Rain, so control Karn, control magic for Karn, that's pretty nasty stuff. Takes my City of Brass and makes it 7 counters on Karn. But I go ahead and sack at the end of his turn. Blitzhammer and intentionally fail to find something so I can tax for 2. And then I draw for the turn Merchant Scroll, so that allows me to go fetch Mystical Teachings, which allows me to Teachings for Disenchant, which allows me to kill his Volition Rains, which allows me to get Karn back, and then I hit his hand, so now it's up to 11 already. And staring down a Karn and all this good stuff, my opponent gives up. That's pretty cool. So this guy, Raucous Magnum, is playing Nin, the Pain Artist, so this should be good. Unfortunately, his deck is not like Brian's Nin deck, so it's probably not going to be as good as it should be. In fact, it'll be decidedly worse, but I go ahead and play the Wasteland and don't use it so I can do the Tithe trick. He plays Nin, that's fine. I hold control, sack the Wasteland in response, Tithe, let go of control. And sorry about the yawning. Go ahead and play Seal, just preemptively. He didn't really have anything going for 2 mana, so I don't think he will. Anything really good like Soul Ring, I can just take it down. He plays Lighthouse Chronologist, that's way too slow. Very cool though with Nin. So if you get enough mana, this actually might belong in the deck, just because of how interesting. Like it's a fat butt, and of course the Time Walk effect is ridiculous. And you can just draw 2 cards off it every turn if you want, which is pretty cool. However, all that good stuff takes mana, requires mana. My opponent's suffering a bit for that. So end of a turn, I go ahead and just strip mine, keep his problems going. Don't use it though. And this way I can factor fiction in response to his dark steel plate. And he makes copies like that totally crazy, so I take the 4 pile. And he is going to try to make an indestructible guy to shoot, probably Nin. He can just shoot himself, maybe a Lighthouse Chronologist, but man, how slow is that? Like, how much time does this guy think he's got in this game? He obviously greatly overestimates how much time is available to him. So I'm go ahead and cast Dark Tutelage and then kill his red source again. He plays Soul Ring, I let it go because I have a Seal of Cleansing. Figured if you cast a spell there, it would just be a juicy mana drain target. He just deals with the Lighthouse Chronologist, equips the plate on it, levels it up. No problems there. So draw Mind Twist. Always nice. So we'll go ahead and just Mind Twist him down to nothing. You get 2 creatures though, and then he draws a card and sits there for 10 minutes and loses. Okay, whatever, bud. Finally, Predatory Predator here. He's playing Erebos, so that should be Oloro's natural predator, you'd think. Although I would say Oloro is Oloro's natural predator. An Oloro deck running Erebos, probably. Anyway, so I go ahead and fetch myself a Mana Crypt, as I am so frequently doing in these games. Play Sword of Feast and Famine with a Bloodghast. Pretty good combo, right? I mean, huge threat, hard to, deal with. Not that big of a deal to me, though. Go ahead and fetch Swords to Plowshares, play land. Oh, and draw a Kelny Gem. So I cast Kelny Gem, and then say go. Plays Liliana, so I just remand that back to his hand for time, and smoke the Ghast. And then, hey, if you're going to top deck Kelny Gem, the next card you draw might as well be land tax, right? So, I play Staffin in first, though. And he fetches a swamp with Liliana. I ping it back down to keep it under check, and then to draw a Demonic Tutor, make a second staff, cast my land tax, and say go. So he goes and gets a swamp. He's going to keep getting swamps. I'm going to counterspell his staff, and then double shoot Vess, stack so that I tax before I draw. I don't want to draw any basics if I can help it. And then double shoot Vess again, and then transmute for mana drain. And this isn't right. Like, I think we're gonna bug out here. Yeah, I had a mana drain and I did do that, but I didn't have Hinder and a Flooded Strand. These were actually some other useful spells. Anyway, without too much effort, managing to draw 3, 4, 5 plus my draw phase is 6 cards per turn. I somehow managed to pull this game out for the win, but I think what I ended up doing was setting up a Cyclonic Rift Mind Twist hand, but by the time I got to where I was ready to do the 1-2 punch, I realized that the only permanent he had in play was Sword at that point in the game, like later on down the road, due to the amount of cards I was drawing and stuff, so I ended up not even bothering with the Rift, and finish the game off winning it with Rift unspent in my hand. It's kind of funny. So anyway, here is the deck list again, with that one change. Mana Leak is Supreme Verdict. I'm still not particularly sold on it. I don't foresee a hell of a lot of problems from creatures, but maybe it makes sense. I mean, it is nice. I will say it's nice to be able to sweep and then have access to another sweeper, and it is nice to be able to verdict when you need to against somebody who's got something like some way to counter, like the wizard that sacrifice a wizard to counter target spell, something like that. That's pretty nice, but overall, I'm not sure that it's necessary. So we'll see what happens. And until next time, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again.